Hey everybody, hello, Craig Peterson here. VPNs have a use, but it's a very limited use. And that's what Sue had caught on when she attended one of my webinars talking about VPNs and how you can best use them. Because they are useful. They came about in order to help businesses connect offices together, etc. They are not great for just going to your bank website. In fact, you could be in more of a security problem area if you use a VPN for your bank than if you don't use a VPN for your bank. And there's a great article in Dark Reading this week that I put up on my website as well. A VPN can be a step in the right direction. And if someone's trying to use a VPN, they're probably trying to do the right thing. But it's really not a be-all and end-all when it comes to security. Not only does it fall short in many ways, but as I've explained in my webinars, that if you want to catch a criminal, you go to where the criminals are. If you want to find people that are trying to keep their information secret or quiet, you go to where the VPN exit points are. And that's exactly what's been happening. It isn't just the 5 Eyes or the 9 Eyes or the 14 Eyes. It's organized crime. It's just all over the place. So be very, very careful. But in March of 2020, all of a sudden, everything changed. Everything shifted. We saw a huge shift in people starting to work from home. Some of these businesses had to stay open. They didn't necessarily have to have the employees right there in the office. And according to a Gartner survey that just happened here with chief financial officers, Gartner's reporting that 74% of organizations will move at least 5% of their previously on-site workforce to permanently remote positions following the pandemic. That is pretty good, right? 3/4 of all businesses are going to move, give or take 1/20th of their on-site workers to off-site. Now, it's going to have major impact on everything, on real estate and obviously the technology side too. But let's talk a little bit about VPNs right now and what are they good for, what are they not good for. So point number one, VPNs. Now, remember I said they're great for businesses point to point. They replaced leased lines. That's what they were invented for initially. But typical traditional VPNs have a device that's at the business office. And that device, that piece of hardware can usually only handle a certain number of users. That's also true with the data line that's coming into your office. If you don't have enough bandwidth to support all of these people accessing their desktops, or in some cases, I know businesses that have a database running at the main office, and there are clients, there's software on people's remote workstations that make hundreds, if not thousands, of requests against this database. That's not the best way to do it, by the way. And if you're interested, maybe we can talk about that sometime. I'll put something up in one of the webinars. But here's the problem with that. The VPN and the data lines can only handle just so much data. And many businesses came up with the specs for their VPN appliances pre-COVID-19, right? Pre-pandemic. And how many people were actually using it then? For instance, we have a client, an auto dealer, and the only time they used the VPN was when the comptroller was out at training or something might happen during the weekend and one of the supervisors would have to hop on. Well, that's a lot different than once a pandemic starts and now they're all of a sudden focused on their websites and their online sales and everything else that's going on. So it's a huge, huge difference. So that surge in teleworking that occurred really made these VPNs fail, and companies struggling to figure out how to scale to support so many users. So that's part of what I've been helping businesses with. There's a lot of creative approaches going on, such as limiting VPN use to certain workers. There have been businesses that have been taking the shifts and kind of moving them around. So there's a shift that starts at 8, another one that starts at 10, another one that starts at noon. so that there's fewer people on the VPN, and maybe they're only on the VPN for a certain number of hours. But frankly, those are not long-term viable strategies. VPNs are also failing to balance productivity and security, because productivity and security has been loggerheads with each other for a very long time. And VPNs don't fix this problem. In fact, they make it worse, because now not only are you overloading the VPN, all of the gateways and the firewalls, which is slowing down everybody's productivity, but these home users on their home networks with home computers that are infected are now connecting to the network, and that infection's getting transferred. And unfortunately, that transfer is to the main office. Hey, a VPN ain't going to help with that. Mobile devices, the VPNs are encrypted. And the encryption that they use is very, very complex. And it causes problems on our devices. Our mobile devices just were not made to handle that. And they have to continually update their keys. They're sharing the public keys and their session keys. They just can't handle it. And frankly, VPNs are not built for the modern workforce. And there are so many ways this really should be done, and unfortunately is not being done. So VPNs, they are not a panacea.